So our panelists today are Janet Helms from Wells Fargo, Ellen Deuink from Bank of America, and John Coffey from Bank of America as well. So I just want to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, introduce their background, and how they got started in the finance industry. So I guess we'll just start off with Ellen.
Thanks, Justin, and thanks for having me here today. And good afternoon to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So my name is Ellen Deuink. I am currently at Bank of America. I'm a App State alum. I graduated in 2013 with a finance and banking and insurance major. My career actually started at Bank of America. I interned at Bank of America when I was a junior in college in the FMAP internship, and then I accepted a full-time job there post-college into their FMAP rotation program. So that's 2 one-year rotations within finance at the bank. So my first rotation was actually in the consumer part of the bank, and my second rotation was in corporate treasury. So one of the great things about that program is that it gives you exposure to different areas of finance. And they also do additional developmental things, learnings and such. So I have worked at Bank of America. I've also worked outside of Bank of America. I've worked at CBRE. It's a commercial real estate company. I did real estate services pricing there. I've also worked at Citigroup in their credit card area, supporting Macy's. I've been at Bank of America for a total of 5.5 years. My current job at Bank of America is still in finance, but supporting small business from a finance perspective. So I can jump into more of that detail in a minute. Actually, I'll do that now. So what I do now is I support small business forecasting and planning for their sales units, so their productivity, how much, how many widgets you think they're going to produce. So I've done that. I've also, while I've been on the team, I've handled all their headcount reporting. There's about 2,600 people who work in the line of business for small business at Bank of America. And so I've handled all of that, as well as done their discretionary expense reporting. So all that probably sounds like some jargon, but if you have interned at the bank or another large bank, you'll quickly learn that most large corporate institutions have their own language, which is part of the learning process of any job. I live in Charlotte with my husband and my daughter, who's 15 months old, and our golden doodle, Molly, and we love it here. And yeah, that is me.
All right, thank you, Ellen. Janet, describe how you got into your position with Wells Fargo and what led you to a career in finance.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for letting me join. I got into banking kind of really by accident. As you can tell, I have a few years on Ellen, so I've been in banking for over 30 years. But when I graduated, my daughter's a graduate of App State. She was actually in the Bowden Investment Group and was one of the CFA winners in North Carolina. So go Bowden. I really credit that for her, the success and being in the Bowden Group and the Walker College of Business for her. She's also at Wells Fargo, so I had to throw in a little comment from a younger side. But back when I started out, I actually went to Clemson University. On career fair, career day, I set up to interview for everyone, and I got some bank interviews, and I ended up going to a company that nobody even probably remembers on this screen other than Chris McNeil and a couple others, National Bank, or North Carolina National Bank, which of course is now B of A. but I left before that. But I've had many roles. Like I said, I never thought I'd be in banking. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own company. Wasn't really a spot there for me, so I had to kind of make my own way. And I thought, hey, banking will be great. You can use what I know from accounting and finance, and I love working with people. So we'll give that a try. And it was the best thing I ever did. Here I am, 30 plus years later, and still loving it. Great, for those of you looking at big companies, there's definitely pros and cons on both sides. But with a big company, you can get in even if it's not the job that you think is going to be your end all be all, because usually that first job is a lot more grunt work. But and then just progress either within the company, or for me, I did make a couple of moves in banks. And now I was with First Union and Wachovia. Then I actually left to a smaller bank. So I have a lot of experience on both sides with a very small bank, which was a lot of fun. It was great. Got to do more things than I would have ever done at a big bank, but got mergered out, so to speak. So back and rejoined Wells, and I've done everything from commercial real estate lending, like shopping centers, apartment complexes, student housing, you name it, large residential developments. I've loaned to home builders, large and small home builders, business banking, the small stuff. I was in Asheville, North Carolina for a while. I was in Orlando, Florida. I was back to Charlotte. So yeah, I've been back to Charlotte since '98. Always on the commercial side, middle market lending to the larger companies. And now I'm in private wealth management. So kind of brings it all together. But it's been a great career, a lot of opportunities for advancement, or to even go kind of sideways. If you, like I have done, I was in commercial real estate, then I've got in the commercial side, and then back in commercial real estate, and then now in private wealth management. Spent most of it in credit, as in approving the commercial loans. Of course, you start out as an analyst and then an underwriter, and then whatever, every bank has different titles. But now I'm actually a relationship banker, handling the whatever types of lending or banking that wealthy individuals need. So that's just a quick overview of where I've been and where I've gone, but happy to help and answer any questions. And also just to throw in, we've included, I believe, our phone numbers and addresses. So if you don't get all your questions answered, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm always happy to help kids in college to get a job and mentor. So thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Janet. Mr. Coffey, John, could you describe how you got into your career in finance?
Okay, thanks, Justin. And again, thanks for the opportunity to be here today. Actually, my schools are NC State, University of Wisconsin, and University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. But my connection to Appalachian is in the mid-90s. I was asked by my company, Bank of America, to bring the FMAP program to Appalachian, and kind of fell in love with the school at that point in time. And since that time, I've been on an advisory board for finance and banking. I actually helped to coordinate a mentoring program, although we kind of struggled during the pandemic to make that a full experience. But again, we're going to get that back to normal. My entire career was in corporate finance at Bank of America, some 34 years. And I guess during that time, I did a little bit of everything, all corporate finance related, but that ranged from overseeing closing the books to the budgeting process, to strategic planning, to SEC reporting, to developing all of the managerial accounting systems that measure profitability. Pretty much a full career. And obviously it was quite a ride, as when I joined Bank of America, it was, as Janet mentioned, NC&B, barely $1 billion bank. When I retired, it was a $1 trillion bank. So it was a pretty good career. I mean, since that time, I was blessed to be able to retire early. In retirement, I do a lot of work for my church at a state level, the work that I do at Appalachian, and I'm also CFO for an algae cultivation company that we're struggling a little bit during this period to raise funding. But that's a little bit about me, and we'll kind of go from there, Justin.
All right, thank you, John. Because we are limited on time, I kind of want to ask two questions into one in this first question. What do you enjoy most about your career in finance, and what are some of the challenges that you face in your position? And we'll start out with Ellen.
It's a great question, or two great questions. I really enjoy the type of work I do. I'm a pretty logical person, so I like that most things you can arrive at an answer. I think that's what attracted me to finance in the first place. But I also enjoy the diversity of the things you can do with finance. So as you heard me mention, I've had a couple of different types of jobs since I started my career in finance, and it's been really cool to see how you can take a skill set of the skill set that comes with finance and apply that to different things. So I think that's what I enjoy most about it. Challenges, in my current role, probably the pandemic and things just being all remote. It's been a blessing for me in some ways since I had my daughter during the pandemic. But then also getting into a new role is a little bit challenging, but it's also given me understanding for all of those who have started their career during a pandemic. And I've actually been able to help out some of the new hires in that way. So.
All right, thank you. Janet?
Thanks. Enjoy. Wow. A lot of things. I love working with people, get the opportunity, and in my role, I'm customer facing, but I also have to have a lot of internal partners and third parties, working with attorneys, et cetera. I enjoy a challenge. You know, the customer wants a loan, they think they want a line of credit, and you dig into the numbers and do what I call a little forensic accounting, that to just try to find out, you know, where are they making money, what's going on, and knowing they teach you a good bit in the banking courses, but trying to figure out how to help them finance, whether it's growth or maybe they don't need a loan, but just making those recommendations with the client, and then just helping them to solve whatever their problem is. So I really love that, because that includes a lot of, like I said, people interaction. COVID has been terrible for that, because it's either phone or Zoom. But so the problem solving. So really the challenges to me are what makes it fun, because if I'm doing something for too long, I mean, I honestly get bored. So you see a lot of things. I've been able to visit a lot of different type of companies that do everything, you know, from manufacturing to service, and that's been very, very, very gratifying. And then being able to help them. So and I get to work remotely at this point, so that's pretty incredible that I've been at home for almost a year, but still able to continue the job. Just miss being out with people. The biggest challenge is the demands. A client comes in and they just figured out, oh, I need this loan, and by the way, we need to close it next week. And I try to do everything I can do to make that happen. And sometimes that means, driving a handful of us crazy and working some long hours sometimes. But it's always gratifying to make it work, or to help provide a solution if we can't do it. So that's what I would say.
All right, thank you, Janet. John?
Well, like Janet, there's not much that I didn't enjoy about my career. The one thing I would say is I started out at NC State, I was going to be an architect. And when I realized that was just not what I wanted to do, one of the concerns that I had was I'll never get a chance to be creative again. And so one of the things I found in my career at B of A is I had opportunity after opportunity to be creative. different types of creativity. I'm one of these people who likes to start with a problem, a blank sheet of paper, kind of figure out a process and figure out how to make things work. And I just had so many opportunities to do that at the bank, and I really, really love that. In addition, probably the one thing I knew I did not want to do when I graduated was I did not want to go into sales. However, again, one of the things that you quickly find is that sales is important in every position that you have. Instead of maybe selling products, what you're doing is constantly making pitches, trying to basically present an analysis, basically go through the conclusions that you come up with and the recommendations you want to make, and basically go through the steps of getting people on board with that. And so that's a skill set I quickly developed. That's pretty much it, Justin.
All right, thank you, John. I have two questions to ask, but I'll ask them separately. What are the opportunities for advancement within your organization? And we'll start out with Ellen again.
At Bank of America, it really varies based on what you want to do, but I think coming in a development program like the FMAP program, and I'll make a little plug that Bank of America has like 200 development programs. So if the finance one doesn't sound interesting, definitely check out some of the other ones. But I think that's a great way to be set apart for promotions in the future, as well as the bank has gone through some organizational changes recently, which has opened the door for a lot of people to gain exposure horizontally, so that when that time comes, you have more experience and might have like greater visibility to like executives and stuff, so that if you're a good fit, you might get that promotion. So I would say that they are. There's definitely lots of opportunities, and the culture at Bank of America is one that supports moving from role to role, getting experience, working in different groups within finance, outside of finance as well. So that's one of the things that I really have enjoyed about the company, and why I, left but then came back, is I really enjoy that there's a culture of learning, try something new, and if you want it, go for those promotions, go for that next level kind of thing.
All right, thank you very much. Janet, same question.
With Wells Fargo, it's very, very, very similar. We're definitely, there's plenty of room for advancement, both horizontally and vertically. And that's one of the things that drew me back. Like I said, I was with First Union, which became Wachovia when we merged, and that was a great company. Then I left to go to a smaller bank. And then when that, like I said, when I was kind of merged out, then I knew I wanted to come back to Wells, and I actually waited for a job opportunity to come back, because I love the culture. It's definitely supportive, very much about learning and growing. Our entire performance plan is around that growth, and so I get opportunities to take classes, to get certifications, licenses that you need it relative to your job. And they're also very supportive about making moves, whether it's, again, vertically within your own group. Like I said, I'm in private wealth management, or horizontally. I mean, I've seen people that have started out in maybe banking, and then they end up in the digital marketing area, or HR, or internal audit, or compliance. I mean, there's just, people think banking is just about, the branch or commercial lenders. No, there's so many jobs, and it's just amazing. And we're continually promoting from within, because that means, kind of the company, the culture, the systems a lot of times. So I think the advancement is available, and definitely if we see people coming from other groups to kind of come talk to us and say, hey, we have an opportunity, would you be interested? And everyone is very on board for, making moves. Basically, they expect at least a year, but sometimes 2 years according to your role in your job, and then you can move. So that's the other nice thing about being with a large company is you can, if you don't like what you get into to start with, look for another group, talk with other people, network, and find other opportunities, and you can look at the job postings.
All right, thank you, Janet. John?
One of the things I was really pleased with during my career is the emphasis that Bank of America placed on development. And with that, as a manager, not only was my judgment, it was how well I got the job done, but also how well I developed people underneath me. I hope it is still that way at the bank. But again, it's pretty much trying to do everything you can to give people the kind of feedback they need, to give them the things that they need to work on, to actually try to give them opportunities that will stretch them, give them new skill sets. And so it was a really great environment to work in from that standpoint.
All right, it's a very important topic. Obviously, a lot of students are chiming into this this panel to want to get your opinion on the current job market. And let's just go around the panel and discuss your feelings, discuss how is the job market in your industry going right now, given the concerns associated with the pandemic. And we'll start with Ellen.
I'm not in HR, so I don't have quite as good of a grasp as they would, but we're still hiring. We still have open positions, and plans are still to have interns and to hire into the FMAP program. So I would say it's still good. Now, maybe with some other companies changing their policies, maybe there's a little more competition. But for Bank of America, we're still full speed ahead. We're still doing good as far as hiring. Just make sure you get your application in and you have a good looking resume, and let us know if you apply.
Okay, Janet?
I think there's lots of opportunities. Actually, COVID has opened up, I believe, even more, because we've realized that we can't continue to do business face to face, traveling for meetings. So there's more, I think there's more opportunity on our digital and tech side. Also, there's lots of compliance. There's you can always depend on regulation to make changes, which always is fun in the banking industry, but you can always depend upon change. Companies are continually changing. They need to react to the times and what is changing. And with that change comes the opportunity for new positions, or even if it's not new positions, which I think in COVID, we've actually had that creation of positions, but also there are changes. People start making, moves. I know right now we have some new leadership. And so with the new leadership, we're making some structural changes, which are awesome. It's causing some internal and external, it's a little bumpy right now, but where we're headed is really wonderful. And so, especially within private wealth, all going under one big group, as opposed to the line of businesses, and every line of business had their own compliance and operations and all that. So now we're kind of streamlining that. But with that comes opportunity to move into other roles, opportunity to move higher, to go into a managing role, or into a development role, or a consulting role within the company. So I actually think, and I was taking a look at postings, there's a ton of availability out there right now, and we're always looking for good people, and want to make them happy and keep them. So you got to have good culture and good benefits, but like I said, the changes bring opportunities. So I know they're out there now, and I agree with what Ellen said. Good resume, a good LinkedIn profile, good interviewing and on the board. There's quite a few of us that are very interested, me being one of them, in helping you with that, to kind of doing some coaching on, review your resume, have a Zoom meeting or whatever, mock interviews. I mean, we do a lot of that in just as part of the board, and we offer that. But even with your friends, practice the interviewing. But there's definitely opportunity. So, but you gotta just go for it and challenge yourself. Go for something you think, I don't even know if I can do that. You can, and so just really yourself and go for it. All they can say is no, but maybe we have something in this area. So that's what I'd recommend.
All right, thank you very much, Janet. John, your opinion?
Yeah, one of the beauties about a degree in finance is there are literally 1,000 different career paths that you can actually pursue with that degree. One of the things that is really continuing to happen right now, I guess one of the advantages of the finance degree is the analytical skills that you end up gaining. And there's nothing hotter now than data analytics. There's nothing hotter really than getting behind the numbers that you've created and actually making sure that you can communicate what the findings are. So I think that that's going to continue to expand and just going to continue to be a bright future for people with finance degrees.
All right, thank you, John.
If I could just add one quick thing here, whether you're you prefer just you and the computer and thinking about what you're doing, or working with internal partners, or like I am, where I work with our clients plus our internal partners and also third parties. I mean, it doesn't matter what your personality is. There are opportunities and there are fits. Just kind of that's what you've really got to look for. What is it I really want to do? What is it that I excel at? And then from there you can learn to do other things. You can learn. So just figure out what you like and what you can do, and focus on that, but then go wherever you want.
Thank you very much. I would be remiss if we didn't answer some of these student questions. We've gotten 2 questions in the chat, and I'd like to at least stress one of them right now. Derek Zepsa asked the question, in the finance and banking space, could you talk about the entry-level position and then order them in competitiveness in terms of getting a job? Without having to order them or rank them in terms of competitiveness, could you at least speak to what entry-level positions have become more or less competitive over the last 5 years, or even in the context of the pandemic? Ellen?
Great question. So when I think of entry-level positions, it's mostly based on my experience. That would be analyst level. And I would say it's probably gotten more competitive. The development programs seem to have a lot of traction, and they've been around for a long time. As John Coffey mentioned, he helped launch the recruiting and app for the FMAP program. So it's not new, but the bank really relies on it for hiring pipeline. So I would say that it's pretty competitive, but it's a great way to start. So it's well worth the effort. Put in the networking, make the phone call, apply early. All the large banks are going to recruit pretty early. So just be on the lookout for that. Stay connected with your career services center. They're all informed on that stuff.
Janet, would you like to chime in as to what entry-level positions are extremely competitive?
Since without being in HR, I don't really have the answer to that, other than we're always looking to hire in new people, because there are those of us that are, aging out. John's there. I'm not more than not even a decade away from that, but so we're always looking for good people. I know from the finance side, generally the entry level is some type of analyst, or just call it associate, which is just kind of a junior role according to where you go in. Because if you start in something like audit, it might be like an audit associate. With us, it would be excuse me, generally an analyst. And we have some development programs. I know there were quite a few years where a lot of banks weren't continuing to do that development program, and so really need the self-starter, somebody who can jump in and is not just doing this task and this task, but be able to look at the big picture and connect the dots and do what's needed to get from A to Z. So really networking is the best way. I mean, it always helps if you know somebody, but honestly, these days for Wells Fargo, it's watch the postings every single day. I mean, literally every day, tons of jobs go up, and they're usually not up for more than a few weeks. So you literally have to look every day or set job alerts. And it's I will have to say it is sometimes kind of difficult, because if you don't know, okay, am I on the commercial banking side, or am I looking at corporate investment banking or capital markets, whatever, just try to look for those entry-level positions. And the same with internships. I mean, it is out for maybe a week or two. So just check it every morning. Is this the best thing I would say?
All right, John, do you have any opinion on competitiveness within the entry-level positions?
Yeah, from my experience working with the mentoring program, it definitely is more competitive than it used to be. Seems to be more competitive every year. And there are a couple of things that I would really kind of encourage every one of you from an advice standpoint. The first is get to know Amy Odom, get to know the BB&T Student Leadership Center. Take advantage of every single thing that they have to offer. One of the things that they actually have developed, since so much of the interviewing is becoming online interviewing, helping you get comfortable with that before you're actually on the firing line. Another bit of advice is to take advantage of not just our mentoring program, but other mentoring programs that are available. One of the things that we have had our experience in the last really 3 or 4 years, I would say the least number of people that have been mentors that have gotten into these development programs, probably the least number is 6 out of any one of our classes. The third thing I will tell you is make sure that you do everything you can to secure an internship. And if you have missed out on that, take some initiative and do some work to kind of work with the company to create your own, even if it's not being paid. And the last would be take every advantage you can to do mock interviews. And those would be the 4 things that I would really stress to you.
Okay, thank you, John. Another student, Zane Clark, asked a question, how would a master's degree or even a CFA certification help you in terms of upward mobility within your field? So any of the 3 panelists want to address that one?
I can speak to that just a little bit from not pursuing it. So when I first joined the bank, I was seriously considering my CFA certification, and I talked with several people at the bank, and they said, well, really, it's only going to help you if you're interested in a couple of areas that require it. And then the same thing with master's degree. I have known some people who have gotten their master's degree at Bank of America, but I would say it's not as high of a number as I thought it would be. But I will say this CFA certification or CFP or whatever, those are definitely helpful if you're going into certain areas where they're needed. I'm not going to say it won't hurt you to get them. It's excellent knowledge, and it's great to have listed, but I would not say it's a requirement in corporate finance. And I don't think it's held me back at all.
And I'll add in there, my take on it is I would not, unless you know that I want to be a financial advisor, and so I'm going to get my CFP, and I'm going to get, there's a handful of designations, and you want to just get a jump start if you know that's what you're going to do. For me, when I came into private wealth management from just the general banking side, they wanted me to have my securities license, my 7 and my 66, and then insurance licensing. So they paid for it. which is not. So they gave us time when I got hired as a private banker. I was given time to get those certifications, and I did. So although it's good, honestly, I say just do the best job that you can in your current job. Learn all that you can. If you can get your master's, that's helpful for not. If anything else, it's just your experiences working with people, working with teams, because that's what it'll be like in real life. And you'll learn. I did not get my master's. I don't feel that it ever held me back. I wish that I would have had time and I would have just made myself do it, because you do learn quite a lot. So I think it's great. I would, this is just my opinion, not of App State or whatever, but I say get in the real world, work for a few years, see what it's like, then go back and get your master's. Because otherwise you won't appreciate it as much. It's just continuation of schooling. But like I said, that's just my opinion.
Justin, this is just my personal opinion, but I would not recommend one of my kids that they get a master's straight out of school. I definitely think, as Janet just said, working a few years. But then the other thing is, in most cases, with a larger company, it's still going to be, you're going to have to work at it. But in most cases, the companies are going to pay for it or significantly reimburse you. And that is so much a better way to get that than just to strike it out on your own.
All right, thank you. We have another question from a couple of students. Veronica Taub asked the question, do students have an advantage if they speak another language? So if they're bilingual, and are there any international opportunities as people try to advance in their careers?
That's a great question. Absolutely, it's an advantage to have to be bilingual. And with Bank of America, there's definitely opportunities to work internationally. You just have to, make that known that that's a goal, and structure your networking as such, and look for the opportunities that will help you place somewhere international if that's your goal. So yes, absolutely.
I would add, yes, bilingual is always wonderful. It can, and I think wherever you are, but also you can use that even if you don't go to, an office in Singapore or London or wherever the offices may be, which there's that opportunity. But just if you're here and you're working, say, in the foreign exchange group or in the capital markets group, where you will be able to utilize that that language in working with clients, or again, our third parties that we work with. So yes, being bilingual is definitely an awesome thing to have. But you can, like I said, you don't have to go to another country. You can utilize that within the company just by the fact of the clients we work with and the need for being able to speak the different languages. So.
Would you like
I don't really have anything to add to that.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John. So we have a few more minutes left. I would like to ask the question, how has technology either changed or even disrupted, not necessarily your role or your position within the company, but the industry itself?
I can start with that. Technology has definitely changed since I started, and it is more and more important. It's more and more important to, I think John mentioned it earlier, be able to not only use different technologies, but be able to, understand the data and pulling the data. So SQL, Python, R, all of those, querying languages are becoming more and more important, even in finance, which I never really thought those would go together. But getting exposure, any exposure you can get to Alteryx, Tableau, Workiva, there's other ones as well. Those will only help you, even if it's not their app, look for online courses, Excel videos, or like YouTube videos, but understanding more of the technology and just the more exposure you get and experience you get will only help you because it's becoming a prerequisite for jobs in corporate finance.
I would add that banking has changed so much. John and I remember the days before the computer when you didn't have anything on your desk but a phone. Some people had adding machines. I always had a little HP, but anyway, it has changed, and we've had to change. We've had to keep up because you've got the, Ally and Capital One and all of these that they don't have to have the brick and mortar. And so we've had to figure that out. And I know we're, especially with our new leadership, investing tremendously in technology in our internal systems as well as client facing. I mean, you just look at mobile banking and what you can do in mobile banking that 10 years ago, I would have said, really, we can do that. The other thing is look at the growth of the fintech companies and how banks have either started them and then maybe sold them off. You wouldn't believe if you took a look at Wells Fargo and B of A and look at how many patents have come out of our companies from our individuals, so many companies that have been built out of that came out of banking and now in fintech. So the technology is, you just have to grasp it and run with it. That's one of those things, they throw a new system at us and you just dive in, figure out how to use it, and be the person that people can call and say, hey, how do you do this? So accept the change, jump in, and raise your hand. At least in our company, we have this thing called loudspeaker now. So you raise your hand when you say, hey, I've got an idea, or I see something that's not working so well. Can we look into a new technology? But all the things we can do now with treasury management and fraud prevention, again, that's we're looking for the people who can design those, from the design to managing the systems to the, I don't even know what quant is, honestly, but we've got, you could look through the job descriptions and see what is required, what languages. But honestly, if you get in as you all's age, they'll teach you what you need to learn. You'll come in, you'll know the basics, and that's great. And they'll say, okay, well, we're going to get you into, all of these, Tableau or whatever the systems are that your company will use. So as long as you're open to that, and we'll get in and take some time after hours and really learn it, that would be my recommendations.
Justin, I can't think of any way in which technology has been disruptive. In effect, it's just kind of opened new worlds. And again, another piece of advice would be along the lines of what Ellen and Janet both talked about. Try to do your part to keep abreast, to keep ahead. I mean, what is happening? You are definitely in a lifelong learning environment, and that's not going to change. It's going to get more and more that way. So be on the edge of it, be on the front edge of it, and those would be things that I would recommend to you. As Janet said, going back to early in my careers, I did have a calculator on my desk as well, Janet. But the funny thing is, there would be things that people ask you to do today that you can do in a couple of hours. If they had asked you that early in my career, it would have taken 6 or 9 months, and you would have laughed at them. I mean, it's like, there's no way we can do that. And that's just how much things have changed.
All right, thank you, John. Just a real quick response. I have a question from a student asking about the Financial Management Analyst Program. He wants to know, how are these things determined in terms of your next rotation in the FMAP program?
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you take that one.
Okay, John. Joseph, that's a great question. So there's a number of things that go into determining that second year rotation. First off, what type of role you were in your first year, the skill set you've developed in your first rotation, as well as your interest, and then your networking as well. So there's a whole bunch of things that go into it, and it's not 100% you placed. You have a component in it as well. like networking and stuff like that. So there's like a ranking process or something like that. It changes about every other year, so the process is constantly updating. But there's a number of things. So the goal of the whole program is to make sure that you're getting exposed to different types of jobs within finance and helping you develop a well-rounded skill set. So those things are pretty important in determining that next rotation.
All right. We're kind of limited on time, so I want to end today's panel discussion with one last question. So for our panelists, put yourself in our students' shoes right now. If you could go back to your college age self, what advice would you give yourself in terms of getting your career started?
Let's see. Make the most of career services in Amy Odom. Use them, make sure they're your best friends, and learn as much of Excel as you can, and any other technologies. Those things will only help you make your job a little easier once you get to your first job.
I'll just add on, I agree with everything she said, but just pick it up from there. Yeah, definitely you want to know Excel, Word, PowerPoint. You got, those are the main generic ones, I will call it. In other words, kind of the foundational. Adobe Pro, that's also key. But the main thing is the networking. Take advantage of when you're offered, when we offer, call us, email us, do that. I wish I would have, gone and spoken to more. Back in the day, it was my dad. My mom would stay at home. But to my dad's friends who were in different businesses, or even at his own company, that were in different roles within the company, to kind of figure out what they do, what is it that they like, what is it that they don't like. Most of you probably have, whether it's from high school or now, friends, really just say, try to get and speak with people in different areas, and see what they have to say, but be very positive about yourself, but always have the can-do attitude, be a good team player, know that you're going to be challenged and you're going to want to pull your hair out, but just focus on the goal, eat the elephant one bite at a time, and just keep moving forward. Ask for help if you need it. The worst thing you do is you don't ask for help and then you do something and it's wrong. So just really allow yourself to fail, because you will, everybody does, but as long as you learn something and grow from it, and just, you have to be your best fan. And if you want something, you've got to ask for it, talk to people, and take the steps to get it.
John?
Justin, I pretty much answered this one earlier, but I would add one thing, and that is, as much as I enjoyed my experience at Carolina, I wouldn't give anything for it. I would say the key difference that I see at Appalachian versus Chapel Hill would be the strength of the faculty-student relationships. So again, as a fifth thing, I would tell you to take advantage of those. Get to know your professors. You would be surprised how helpful. They aren't going to get you the job, but they can definitely give you a great recommendation. They can give you some good pointers. So really take advantage of the opportunity that you have, because students at Chapel Hill just don't have that same opportunity.
All right, thank you, John. On behalf of the Walker College of Business, Ellen, Janet, John, thank you very much for providing your time and the opportunity to provide us your wisdom and expertise on careers in finance and answering these questions for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Appreciate
Amy,
it.
you want to add anything else?
I think we're all set. Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we encourage you to participate in the remaining panels that we have scheduled for this week. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Of course, we have mock interviews scheduled for the remainder of the week, and then our big networking event on Friday, Career Connections. Please be sure to register for all of those events, and we look forward to seeing you then.
All right. Thank you, Amy. And
Thank
thanks to everybody
you.
again.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.
Good luck.
right, I'm going to close out the session.
All right, thanks, Amy. Take care.
Bye.
All right, bye.